All right, it's going to get started. Let's see. Right, obviously this week's closure matches the narrative portrayed the previous week. Right, so I don't know, is this a 50% here? This isn't something I've checked. Okay, it is a 50%. Right, so you can see that's pretty much perfect there. Right, but you know that we derived the H12 wick here. And something I'm referencing to is the fact that we just took out a high and immediately came below it. So it's giving me signs that this move will more than likely take out previous liquidity, signaling a liquidity grab in terms of this entire move here. Right, so we know that we're bearish, right? High low retracement. It's just a matter of whether or not we were going to show signs of a potential pullback, because in my opinion, right, the direction is obviously clearly shown. Now it's just a matter of me getting an actual pullback so I can get a full impulse, right? Because I can intraday, you know, intraday. I can keep doing that, but I'd rather wait for the intraday to essentially break and finally signal us a type of pullback, so that then wherever a POI is, right, we then take that whatever reversal occurs there, and that gives you one full impulse. That's what I mean by pretty much wanting the swing trade over intraday trade. Don't get me wrong, there's plenty of opportunities, right, inside of intraday, right? It's just a matter of what types of trades you're pursuing. So it's cool to note, right, that the bias is obviously correct, and it's also good to note what's happening inside of the range. So as you can see, technically we're clearly still bullish, right? But that's why we have the disruption concepts, and that's why we have, you know, turbulence concepts to, you know, try to measure if that's gonna sustain itself or not over time. So off the bat, right, clearly this week, right, we were pretty much inside of this inefficiency, right? And this is the open, right? Yeah, the 11th. So if we're trying to understand where this is going, right, obviously if you guys reference the old course, right, no lower high has been broken, right? So naturally bearish structure is still in play, right? That's something to know off the bat, right? So it's also important to know what's happening inside of here, right? Because it's the character in here that dictates whether we come higher or whether we come lower. So as you can see, we came into the inefficiency, broke preliminary levels of structure, gave an impulse, filled inefficiency. Who knows, maybe went somewhere inside of this candle, whether it's an M5SC, M5 wick, anything like that, right? But the important thing to note is that this did not break, right? So if this does not break, then you cannot fully justify a bullish scenario, right? Because it's not sustainable over time if momentum, if volume is still to the downside. Sorry about that. Right, so what happened immediately after we were unwilling to break a high? We were trying to incite bullish order flow. But as you can see, it did not sustain itself. Right, this didn't reach a POI I would have wanted. Right, besides maybe this wick here even took that out. Little inefficiency here, very hard to play off of. Right, that's very hard to play off of in my opinion. Right, but what's important to know, right, is before getting an entry right, you must get the direction right. Okay, I don't know what that is. You must get direction right. So right, as soon as we see a potential mitigation to the upside, and that's immediately taken out, right, that signifies, right, the mitigation creates a new low inside of this range, right, signifies this as an unwillingness to continue higher, and this as a solidified lower high based on this high, right? Because obviously mitigation is carrying order flow to the downside, so naturally you're stuck inside of this range, right? Ooh, sorry about that. Okay, so, right, obviously we had a very unfortunate news event that essentially created liquidity, right, then cleared it and mitigated a previous point. So you don't directly need to catch something like this, because in my opinion this is now showing its hand, right? But something cannot go down forever, so I'm anticipating any type of pullback to start occurring pretty soon, right? And now this is what I'm waiting for, because in an overall picture, this entire sequence signifies disruption of the continuation of this leg, and we've now even disrupted the immediate leg there, right, where it's been taken out. So it gives, you know, a type of bias in terms of showing its hand here, and then all you want is technically a type of premium, a type of anything inside of equilibrium, above equilibrium, I'm sorry, to then want to give you anything on smaller time frames at a, pretty much either in London or New York, preferably New York in my opinion, to then give you, you know, that full move. And once that happens and that clears the low, that now solidifies full bearish structure, and you're now not aiming here, you're aiming here, right? Because we are pro trend, right? So it's more of a bigger picture type thing, right? Whereas obviously in a smaller scale, I'm positive there was a couple of intraday scenarios. Right, let me note. Right, pretty much Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So Wednesday obviously gave a very nice bearish scenario. Right now, the thing about me though is these moves are very, very good, but they're not necessarily what I want, right? Like I could care less for this continuation after a very bearish impulse, because that automatically it'll make me very suspect of wanting to continue lower, right? And the reason for that being is that at any moment this can start, you can easily get caught up at the bottom of a trend and this can start retracing. So I'd rather study whatever is happening here, right, for obviously for practice, right, but because I'm more so interested in a retracement after a pullback, right, which is what happened here, but this was pre-London, right, pre-London and then London mitigation. These are the types of moves that I want. I want to see a pullback, right, not just a simple continuation. I want to see these structure levels fully break and then give me a potential scenario. But obviously, as you can see, this is London and New York didn't give us much. So once I see that this is already overextended, I'm not too interested, because the only reasonable thing that could happen after this impulse is a pullback during New York. So I don't want to get caught up trying to catch a reversal on the bottom of a trend, right? Which is why I'm more so interested to see if this will give you a decent pullback, right, from it in terms of overall scale, right? Which is why you don't see me posting a bunch of intraday moves anyway. But yeah, anyways, if you're asking about higher time frame inefficiency, that's pretty much just a direct not instability, a direct disruption. So with a direct disruption, it's more so seeing something be mitigated and then taken out, because that correlates to showing your hand and, you know, continuation. But yeah, let's see. EU. Same thing here. I want to pull back, you know? Like, for example, I wasn't selling here per se, right? Well, I was, but I took my loss there, and that's fine. And I was not necessarily selling for the full bias, but selling for a potential retracement, which is obviously not the way to go. And I paid the price for it. So as you can see, right now that we've given a new impulse, this is my new turbulence point, my immediate turbulence point, and this is obviously a deeper retracement. So I want to see if we can give any type of pullback, preferably in here, just so we can continue order flow, right? Because if we disrupt this and then we come here, then obviously bearish structure will be intact. So you need to wait before you can take this higher, right? So it's, do I hedge pullbacks? Not really. That's a big habit of mine. It's just, I'm so focused on bigger picture that it's, you know, I'm willing to sacrifice that hedge, if that makes sense. Obviously, if the scenario is there, I'm gonna take it, right? But I'm not trying to get caught up guessing highs, especially when I'm not trying to go against my bias, you know? So I'll mainly only hedge if I'm already in a buy. Like if I was in a buy here, then okay, it makes a lot more sense now to be wanting to sell just to make sure you're right. But if you're trying to sell to essentially satisfy a pullback, then your odds of winning are a lot less. Right, so a hedge is meant to cover you, not to, you know, go against your bias. But yeah, I mean, I'm happy we finally saw this leg break too. We've obviously seen liquidity be cleared here, right? And that's a big level of liquidity. So it could be time to start seeing that pullback, you know, and we could probably end the week right around where we closed this week, right? Where we could finally see a pullback and then obviously the continuation. But then the next week can actually explode, right? Because I don't see this exploding without giving a pullback. Right, like even here, right, gave a move. It was until the pullback that we got the big move. Right, let's see. Right, it's even though this pullback wasn't necessarily deep, it gave you a lot of time to find entry. Right, so after an impulsive move, that's when you get the big move. You see what I'm saying? That's what I wait for. Right, you're here. Inverse head and shoulders. Wouldn't that be considered weak order flow? What would be? Don't confuse weak order flow and with strong order flow by just seeing too many mitigations. You want to see unstructured mitigations. Don't confuse that. Because these are structured, right? And it's the same thing that happened here, right? Where we almost mistook this as weak order flow. Same thing here, right? You see more than 3 mitigations, but they're structured, right? If this final move here did not break this high and came back down, then I would have considered that weak order flow. But because we took structure, right, and cited bullish movement. But let's see. Right, so I would have considered this weak order flow, right? Weak order flow, hence why we came for the liquidity grab, right? But it's until after we took this out, these are your structured order flow entries, right? So that even though this is weak order flow, that doesn't mean that it's inevitably going to fail. Everything can change with one closure, one move, one structural range, in case you haven't noticed. Right, your entry can literally be perfect and then you have one bad closure and it flies in the opposite direction. Right, I don't know if you've ever experienced that, but everything can change with one closure. Everything can change with one move, which is why you wait for it to show its hand. Does that make sense? So yeah, even though if this would be considered weak order flow because we haven't taken out a new high, so that would signify that it's taking too much effort, right? It's until then after you see it show its hand, right? But you also got to keep in mind, right? We already know this was bullish, right? So we got to ignore the fact that it was already bullish, and we got to see what happened. So obviously here we have a new structural range, right? So we're stuck inside of here, right? So we have a structured, like technically structured pullback because we have an immediate move afterwards. So we now have a battle between whether we're going to be continuing upwards or we're going to continue downward, right? So you got to read the price action, right? Mitigated, wick there, mitigated again, right? Then gave a move, disruption, potentially, right? But then failed immediately, right? And this is now no man's land, right? Because we're stuck in between the range, right? And we're technically showing bearish signs, but we're also showing bullish signs. So this is no man's land. I'm not trading anywhere in here. Okay, so we now have optimism, right? Because we have a mitigation here. Let me change the color for that. Let's actually delete all of this. We have a mitigation in play, right? So naturally, this looks like it's going to be bearish, I'm sorry, right? We're stuck in a bearish range, right? And this looks like it wants to continue lower, right? But there's a liquidity grab and bullish order flow is incited here, creating optimism, creating disruption. You create disruption, right? And continue higher. So this is now my full leg, right? And this liquidity grab was only a continuation BOS. Oops, wrong button. Was only a continuation BOS to create a new structural range. Pullback, new structural range. Pullback, this is a very realistic entry. Where was that? Right here. Very realistic entry, and that is your move. So you see there will always be an opportunity. It's just, are you reading price correctly? Right, so all of this would have been no man's land. Right, and this was a continuation BOS to cover potentially inefficiency there. Right, but we already know this happened. Right, so it's important that when you're backtesting, when you're looking at this, I'm not just seeing it from the perspective of this. I'm also trying to see the perspective of what was happening prior and what caused the conversion. Right, because technically you're bearish until this high is created. Right, and then there's obviously the liquidity grab. Right, so realistic entry for me is here, technically. Right, unless obviously you catch order flow there or there. Yeah, does that make sense? Cool. What'd you guys think about the breakdown from yesterday? I didn't expect it to be so long. I thought it would have been like a 20-minute video. Right, but anyways. Right, this has been such a mess. Right, but we already covered GU. Right, these are the markups from the video itself. And it's cool though because this is finally showing optimism too, so it might be finally time to get back on this. Dope. But anyways, do you guys have any questions? EG, I haven't looked at EG, bro. I don't know what you want me to say. Yeah, I haven't looked at this. Because the issue, right, is if we're obviously pro trend, right? This is obviously continuation BOS. We didn't break the full leg, right? Unwillingness. So theoretically, you want to wait. So it's nothing to play off of here. If this starts to pull back, this does not make sense. Because bullish order flow. And you could get burned like that. But yeah, I haven't even been trading this, if I'm being honest. I didn't even review GU today, bro. Check the announcements, bro, please. I didn't look over GU today. You point out the optimism. I already reviewed it. Now you can point it out. Let's see. I don't know, you tell me. I'm telling you, point it out right on my screen. Yeah, and now why is that optimism? Because you can know optimism all day, it's until you know why the optimism is considered optimism that matters. So now why is that optimism? So hopefully I'm not confusing you. Let me point this out. No. Well, yes, right? There's this, and then there's this. How do you differentiate the two? One of them is optimism, one of them is disruption. So now, how would you differentiate the two? And can you please delete your drawings, please? Thank you. You guys can speak up. Like, it feels weird when I'm asking questions and you guys aren't talking.
The leftmost arrow is disruption and something.
Yeah, but why?
Because you had bullish order flow right before that.
So what does each represent? One is internal, one is overall. All right. I mean, Zen pointed out one, but now how do you differentiate optimism and disruption? They can be both. One move can be both, right? But that doesn't mean they're the same thing. All right. So the difference. Okay, this is optimism. Not this optimism. Sorry, this is disruption. Why? Because. Can you please delete this, please, Usman? Thank you. Mitigation is in play. We are bearish. We are bearish. Right, but it's also about what's happening in here. So this mitigation is then counter mitigated by bullish liquidity grab, which could be a potential inefficiency fill there, maybe. So this is disruption because it disrupts the order flow present, but our range is still intact, right? So even taking a buy position here, targeting the previous high, makes a lot of sense because you've already disrupted order flow, and there's maybe even an inefficiency here, maybe on H8, right? 50%. There's definitely signs of bullishness here. You could tell that there's pushes up and then retracements down. Whereas here is where you fully take out structure. This is optimism. This is a sign that you want to go higher. Disruption only shows you the disruption of the order flow in play, whereas optimism shows you the full move potential. Right? Hopefully that makes sense. And that's important because if you can't explain it, how can you see it? Which is why, like, every video, I pretty much give you a definition, right? When you're learning a concept, you got to look at it from definition, then interpretation, right? Then application, then refinement, and it's yours, right? 5 steps. No, you can't. Right? Because this is essentially, right? You can't predict that because if this comes down here, and even if it mitigates this and it sustains itself below here, then it's a break of structure. Whereas you can't predict whether it's going to give you a liquidity grab or break of structure. Right? So you focus more on what you can control. Right? So if you're going to take that loss here, you maybe didn't wait for optimism. Let's see. Oh, I should have hit replay. Let me go replay. I can't even go that far back. That's annoying.
Hey, yo, you lagged for a second.
Where did I lag?
Like a minute ago when you were talking.
What did you last hear? What did you guys last hear? Okay, so you said can you predict it? No, you can't. Because you're assuming a liquidity grab. You can't really assume a liquidity grab if you think about it. Right, you can assume that there could be a mitigation here, but and you would assume this is liquidity, but the only way to assume that is you have to wait for the liquidity grab to already happen in order to then judge mitigation, liquidity grab, right, continuation, right? But it's you need this move to happen before you can judge that. Not necessarily break of structure, just see it as you have to let the narrative build itself. You have to let it show its hand. See what I mean? And at the same time, if you're wanting to play lower time frame reaction, bro, there is no break of structure whatsoever. You see that? There is no sign of bullishness, so you're trying to pick low. Whereas here, it came back into inefficiency, continued higher. Did it feel inefficiency again? No, it didn't. But there's an inefficiency here. So you can't really judge it. That's why you have to go based off the reactions. Right, as you can see, turbulence point of invalidation here. You can see that came pretty much right to the closure of the candle. You always have to start off as being conservative, though, if you really think about it. Right, I don't promote 1 pip, 2 pip, 3 pip stop losses for you guys. Why? Because that's not where I want you to start. Yeah, you could say optimism is a type of showing its hand. Right? Because the thing is showing its hand, like for example, this here is showing its hand, but it didn't necessarily give you full optimism. You see what I'm saying? You could say showing its hand is more so based on finding a narrative and reading the narrative. The thing is though is that it's theory, so don't take it too seriously. Right, all you need to know is that you need to find a narrative, read the narrative, and play based on the narrative. That's all you need to know. Right, but the hard part is, how do you understand narrative? Right, and I'm pretty sure I covered that in the course. I'm pretty sure. All right, cool. So any more questions? Excuse me. Say the foundation. No, what if the last mitigated candle gets liquidity grabbed? Right, like for example here, the turbulence point I just showed you. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Right here. Point of validation is there. Actually, I'm sorry, you could even, like, it's even possible to do it at this wick. You could, I think a easier way to say it, but don't quote me on it, I think an easier way would say it would be to put the point of validation at the lower high immediately next to the POI inside of the turbulence point, or inside of wherever the POI is. Yeah, right, so this would be the point of validation of this candle. Why? Because this candle could be, you can take the liquidity of this candle, still sustain the turbulence point, and continue higher. You see what I mean? So realistically, a stop loss here is 7 pips based on this time frame, but I can't go deeper. As you can see, I can't go to M5 and stuff like that. Right, but I kind of want you to more so focus on the order flow in play too. I think that's one of the most important things after this course, because if you notice, the people that have been in the group for like a year now, EU moves way differently this year than it did last year, right? Do you guys agree? Would you say, not way different, but you can say it moves differently, if that makes sense? Does it, like, do you guys agree? Do you guys see differently? Do you guys see the exact same stuff? It also depends on how you trade, what you trade, right? But in my opinion, in terms of swinging, EU moves way differently now, right? The retracements seem a lot less steeper. It's a lot more continuations. Right, so I think the key isn't to it, especially in the pair behavior side, is to learn the order flow, right? Because you can still read the order flow no matter the condition if you actually know your order flow rules. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's a good explanation. But if you're able to read the order flow, you can pretty much play any condition. You don't think so? What? That's what I'm saying. That's what I said. So do you disagree with that? Obviously you can't always do it, right? Because there's the whole inefficient market aspect of things. right? You can't always. So it's okay. I get you. I get you. I get you. I get you. I get what you're saying, right? Obviously, you can't 100%. Obviously, okay. Thank you. But you get what I'm saying. I'm speaking in terms of all collectively. You're speaking of every specific scenario. Yeah, I get what you're saying. Yeah, that's where the whole inefficient market side of things comes into this. And then you also have to consider no man's land, but you get what I'm saying, right? So stop being an asshole. Let's see. But yeah, obviously you can't. Thank you. Anyways, though, just to satisfy Falco, you can trade order flow with majority of price action, not all price action, right? There we go. It's very cool now. Majority. Okay, yeah. That kind of dives into more stuff. Like, there's this guy that I talk to, and anytime I say like any type of data, or like if I say like 90% of this, blah 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 blah, whatever, or I say all of blah 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 blah, whatever, he'll just tell me like, what's that based off of? And that just pisses me off, because he takes my words literally. Right, so the gist is order flow can trade majority environments, right? But the other gist is that not all markets are efficient, so not every market is tradable. So just concluded at that. So are we good here, or do you guys have more questions? Perfect. Yeah, also, oh yeah. Also, nobody had objections, I'm sorry, with, you know, putting the old course on YouTube. Is that cool? Like, I'm pretty much gonna upload everything that was leaked. That doesn't include pair breakdowns. That doesn't include, you know, a lot of the cool stuff. Anything in the Discord. You can buy it, bro. It's already there for it? Oh, okay. No, it's actually, I swear we took that down. Like, I'm pretty sure there's like maybe a video or two there, but we're gonna take everything else down. Because from what I researched, nobody has the whole course uploaded on YouTube. That I know of. Right, there's this Pixology asshole. Did you remove the thing? That's because we switched video host. Oh yeah, that's fine. I don't care. Like, that's cool. But what I'm saying is, I'm putting it on YouTube so people don't resell it, because there's still people reselling it. Obviously, it's not as common anymore. But it's like, if it's already out there, why don't we just give it out? You know what I'm saying? And either way, it's only the old course, and it's like a couple of webinars. So it's like, you know, I don't really care. And also, it's not something that honestly anybody in the niche would do. Who the fuck would put their course on YouTube? You know what I'm saying? Like, if anything, anybody trying to resell a course or trying to sell you a course and then even gives you another course will charge you double for it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I got some ideas for the YouTube channel. Like, I don't want to be that guy posting with some corny thumbnails. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's not me. I'd like to, like, for example, the only idea of a video that I have is like, because I saw this video, right? It came up on my recommendations and it said how to properly mark up a chart. And it's like, okay, you got to ask yourself, is there really a way to mark up a chart? Right, and I'm getting somewhere with this. Right, so think about it. Is there a proper way to mark up a chart? Exactly, it's subjective. So all that video is showing you what their method is, whatever the fuck they're trying to show you, then probably promote what they're selling, and then, you know, just leave it at that. So what I want to do is, I'm not going to advertise RCV on there. All I'm trying to do is kind of take the same approach as the Twitter. Like, do you guys know the entire point of the Twitter? The Twitter has one goal. The Twitter has one goal. What do you think that goal is? Harris, give me a responsible answer, please. Right, and the funny thing is, right, is that one thing that I'm trying to do, that I'm trying to make you do right now, I'm literally making you do it right now. I'm trying to make you do one thing, and I'm doing it to you right now. Exactly. Because, you know something I learned this morning too? Apparently thinking burns calories, but don't quote me on that. But anyways, I thought that was funny. But like, all I care about is making you think. That's all that matters. Why? Because I even tweeted this. I cannot change your mindset, but I can add bits of clarity. That's all I can do. Just like with this course, right? I can't teach you per se how to make you profitable. I can only give you methods that I've seen work, right? That can provoke you to think, to then try to make it work for you. That's all I can do, right? I can't force you to be profitable, right? Exactly, in routine, right? And routine is good though, because obviously you need flow to create routine, right? You need a flow to create routine. But if you disrupt your flow, you create new flow. Does that make sense? Now, whether that new flow is better or worse, that's obviously depending on you. Exactly, order flow disruption in real life. Exactly, that's the point. So all I gotta do is provoke you to begin that process. You know what I'm saying? And the first step to learning anything is awareness. You have to be aware of something before you learn it, right? But that's when you're learning something. But like, let's say you're trying to change a habit. Let's say you're trying to change trying to go to the gym. You're trying to read more, right? The origin of that is discontent. Right? Yeah, exactly. It is one of my tweets, because this like, every tweet, if it's not quoted, it's open thought. It's whatever just comes to my mind, and I just write it down and I save it in the drafts. Like, I have a bunch of drafts just sitting on Twitter. Yeah, exactly. Like, yeah, like that's one of my habits that I'm trying to put into my morning routine. Like, I'll wake up, wash my face, brush my teeth, then get on my desk, right? But like, if I'm looking at my bed, I'm like, I didn't do my bed, and that pisses me off, right? So the first step to fixing the habit is the discontent that I don't like my bed being undone while I'm trading, you know? So you see how that connects? Right? So all I care to do is to make you think. Make you question yourself, make you question your belief. Because all a belief is a belief. And if you really want to dive in, I don't want to do that today, but I don't want to start blabbing on bullshit, you know? Because all I'm trying to do is just make you think. That's all that matters to me. So like this, so back to the YouTube, right? And that's what I want to do with the YouTube. If I can name a video how to properly mark up a chart, you know, I can name it that, because I'm fishing you. I'm pitching you, not pitching you, I'm fishing you. But in reality, the video isn't going to show you that there is a proper way to mark up a chart. It's going to show you that any way is a proper way, as long as it's done with research, with backtest, with stress test, right? And all of that is pretty much molded together to create your trading method, your trading methodology, right? And once you realize that, I think that's very liberating. I don't know what you guys think about that, but I think it's very liberating. So that could be like the direction I take with the YouTube too. Like, you know, it's something different. You know, everybody, you know, like obviously you guys know our method has been ripped off for the past year and a half, year per se. So it's just like, you know, everybody's trying to do the same thing, where I'm just trying to be myself. And it's indirect reverse psychology. So yeah, I think it's a good plan. I don't know what you guys think. I think it's unique, right? And it's not a pitch, right? Like the videos alone will help you personally if you don't care to pay for something, and that's fine. Oh yeah, I do need I think we have it to where it's already set up. I just haven't uploaded anything. But the thing is, I don't know when I'm gonna do those videos, because at the end of the day, it's already like you guys are the priority, right? See, like there is now, it has 482 subs. Honestly, I didn't check that till like last week, and the last time I had checked it was like 6 months ago, and it was like at 300 subs. But yeah, see, that's all I care about. Like even with the podcast, you know, you could say that's a direct approach we're taking with the podcast too, is just to make you think, right? But that's obviously not getting into trading. I'm not going to get into trading with the podcast. I think that's too linear of an approach to take. And you know, apparently the secret these days to YouTube algorithm is to do polls. Apparently that's the secret to the algorithm these days. So I could do some very interesting polls on YouTube, you know? Bring Naval in, I wish. Honestly, I'm not aware enough as an individual to meet Naval, bro, if I'm being serious. I'm nowhere near where I need to be to meet that guy. Give me like 10 years. Give me like 5. Yeah, and in the Joe Rogan podcast he was on, he was like, he even feels weird being around normal people. And I'm like, you know, like I feel that to an extent, but I don't want to sound like, you know, an asshole. Yeah, it's definitely the next book I'm gonna read after the one I finish right now. It's a really good book. It's called where is it? I have it right here. The book is called Think Like a Monk, and actually Sergio's girlfriend gave me this book. And I'm taking my time with it because it's a lot to digest. I've noticed that like even reading one page will make me think. So reading a chapter will take me like an hour. You know, it's less than 20 pages. It's a good book though. I like this book because it's helped me pretty much try to detach myself from social media. Like personally, like I'll post whatever the fuck I want on my Instagram, right? You guys know the image doesn't matter to me. So that's why I'll post random shit. Like I posted a selfie the other day, you know what I'm saying? Like what the fuck, you know? So I think bringing this or reading this book is helping me detach myself from social media start to think about what I do and realize that what I do is not, you know, based on trying to prove somebody right, trying to prove somebody wrong, trying to impress somebody, trying to, you know, anything like that. Making sure I do everything I can because of my own free will. Oh yeah, I haven't finished that book, but yeah, it's very good. I've definitely looked through it. It's in the book section, isn't it? I actually paid for that book too, so just to give it to you guys. It's very good, yeah. It's very good. He definitely trades Wyckoff a bit differently, I guess I would say. Obviously because he doesn't have the whole SMC background, but it's very good. I think it's very good for understanding principle. Right, what do you guys like about it? Yep. Yeah, man, you know, there's actually so much stuff that I'm pretty sure a lot of people haven't seen in the Discord. Like, for example, the pin messages I think is really good. Obviously, all the previous markups, there's over a year's worth of markups in there. The book section. I also want to, Raj gave me this idea, right? Let me know what you guys think about it. I want to name this section reverse engineer. Right, and it's pretty much the only thing I want in that chat is your screenshots. Right, and before you think, be like, oh, he just wants to post them on Instagram. No, absolutely not. Right, I want you to post your trades, right? So somebody could, or the next person could reverse engineer your entry and gain that interpretation as they're starting off, you know? Or even if you're experienced. Right, like all I care for is the entry, right? And your job is to reverse engineer the entry. Right, it's just extra practice, extra back testing. So recognitions is where the individual actually shows you how he got the trade. Whereas reverse engineer would just be the screenshot of the trade, no explanation. And it's your job to find the explanation. Yeah, it's just you decoding. Right, and I won't be posting it on Instagram. So please do not, you know, like just know that's not the goal, okay? All they want, yeah, exactly, brainstorm, think, you know what I'm saying? Think. I'm really transitioning my life towards that, you know, that type of POV. Where if you take that extra thought or you think about it for just a bit longer, right, you might, you know, see a different perspective. And if you guys have questions about them, I guess you guys can just ask me because I'm 95% sure I can almost instantly backtest somebody's entry. So in case you have questions or issues, you could go to the group chat or you could message me. Yeah, it's a good drill, I think. So like, for example, when I backtest, I usually backtest only like the last 2 to 3 weeks data now, right? Because I think that's the most important data to then make a projection. Or you can message the person that posted, of course, yeah, of course. But yeah, so anyways, course is going on YouTube. I think the videos on YouTube are, I'm really going to try to focus on making sure the script is, let's say, on par with what I'm trying to say. And what else? Per breakdown is up. I'm going to add that section to the Discord, and I think that's it. Right, so I think, I hope you guys see what we're trying to do with the brand. I hope you guys see what we're trying to do. And also the whole thinking thing, that can like be applied to anything, right? And something I've noticed, right? Don't quote me on this, right? But something I've noticed is, right? I've said before, right? The answers to most of your issues are directly in front of your eyes, right? Because they are. You just aren't looking, right? And the issue I thought at first was I'm thinking too hard, or I'm thinking too much, right? Or not I'm thinking too much, I'm thinking too hard, or I'm not looking in the right places. Whereas if you take a step back, if you legitimately take a step back and you think about the entire situation from an objective POV, right, it pretty much gives you a whole new sight, a whole new view. So the issue, the solution is already there. Now you can actually see it because you're being objective and you took a step back. Right, like literally yesterday, right? I correlate this to the dumbest shit ever. Okay, so there's this bag. It had like what did it have in there? It had like some like nuts in it, and there was this bag, and it was tied up, right? And I was trying so hard to open this bag, right? Like it was so hard. The knot was just annoying, extremely annoying. I was trying really hard to take it out, but I let the bag go. I'm like, all right, I'm tired of this. I let the bag go. Right, I sit back on the couch. I left it on right at the in the coffee table that was right there. So I look at my phone, then I put my phone down, and now I look at the bag again. I'm like, I really want these nuts, right? So I see the bag, and I see that I was pulling at it the wrong way, and then I literally just used one finger to push one end back up, and then it literally opened up in 2 seconds. Right, so it's a dumb example, but you guys see how I like apply it to like the dumbest shit, you know? And I think that's very powerful. I think it means something, but I don't know what it means. Maybe it could mean that that we get too tied up with, you know, the current situation based on your current emotion or your current, you know, just current circumstance, whatever, you know. I think it's something interesting, so I'm gonna just keep looking into it. And by looking into it, I mean I'm just gonna keep living it, you know. Yeah, anyways, I think we're good for today. It's a hour-long call. I think we're good for today. No worries, bro. Thank you for hopping on. You're saying get a razor? Okay, well, if I get a razor, then I rip the bag, and I can't put the leftover nuts back in the bag, you know? Oh, I don't know what that is, bro. I'm sorry. But yeah, hopefully that makes sense. I think, like, it's cool. Yeah, simplest answer is always correct, yes. But what is the simplest answer, and how do you find it? That's pretty much what I'm getting at. By taking a step back, thinking less, right? Less is more. I'll look into it. I'll probably post something on Instagram today because I like looking into this stuff. Ocam's razor. Let me put that in the search. When you're doing an IG live, fuck those IG lives, bro, if I'm being honest. Because there's always people trying to hop on and just, you know, do some stupid stuff, man. Like, I'd rather hop on and talk to you guys than hop on IG and talk to random people. You know, like, I genuinely enjoy, like, speaking to you guys about this stuff. Yeah, bro, I'm noob. Sorry. Yeah, that's also why I'm reading this book, bro. That's why I'm detaching myself from social media. I'll just post cool pictures every now and then, you know? And just post stuff that'll make you think. That's all that matters. Oh, okay, yeah. You know what, Tristan? You know what, bro? You know what? Just, yes. That's all I'm gonna say, yes. Yeah, definitely. You're right. I understand the concept, just don't know what the word is. But yeah, anyways, I'll just end the call here, though. You're cool.